Alrighty, welcome everyone back to another live stream here on the channel. Hopefully everyone is having a fantastic Wednesday so far. Let's see what we have in the chat. We have Glenn, Anna, and Twilight so far, as well as everyone else who's watching and may not be chatting. Glad to have you here for yet another live stream. Just going to do a double check, make sure everything's good. It is, and hopefully everything is good here. Looks to be the case. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about Melissa. This is the last planned live stream for Melissa, as it will be moving rapidly off to the northeast. Now, we will have impacts in Bermuda going into the overnight hours tomorrow night and Friday morning, but that will not warrant a live stream. But this, at least, do want to talk about it one more time here properly, and talk about some of the impacts that we are seeing and what we will be seeing over the next couple of hours here across the Bahamas. Also want to talk about some updates from Jamaica, some updates from Haiti, and what happened in Cuba last night as well, as the system moved offshore of Jamaica and went up into Cuba, made landfall about 3:10, right around there, a.m. Eastern time, somewhere right around 3:10 a.m. Eastern. So yeah, this is what it looks like right now. Melissa, very disorganized. However, we do have some very cool cloud tops on the northwest side of the center. The center is actually located down in here, I'm pretty sure. I know it's lopsided. I don't know exactly where that center is, but I know it is lopsided somewhere to like the south and southwest of the main convection. It is not in the center, so this is a lopsided system, and that's because of strong westerly wind shear that is affecting it, and you can clearly see that wind shear has definitely taken a toll on the system. Once it hit Cuba, it went over all those very tall mountains, and then it continued to go into a hostile environment. But that hostile environment is backing off a little bit now, and it may be able to intensify a little bit here over the next 2 to 5 hours or so. So we might see just a little increase by maybe 5-10 miles per hour on those wind speeds. Nothing substantial, nothing too crazy, not enough to get it back to major hurricane status, but just a little bit of uptick in those wind speeds. So where this is located here, according to the NHC's last advisory here, not too long ago, about an hour and a half ago, it would probably do good to actually turn that on. There we go. You can see the center. Well, you got to account for the fact it's still moving. So the center is probably, let's see, when is this advisory? Is that the 8 p.m.? That's the 8 p.m. advisory. So that means the 5 p.m. advisory would be right here. So in between that, you're looking at the low pressure being somewhere right around there, maybe a little bit back a bit, but generally right in there is where our low pressure is located right now, somewhere right in there. Yeah, and you can kind of see that because these winds, or rather these storms, are kind of being pushed from the northeast to the southeast, just like I drew there in that arrow. So your low pressure is definitely tucked under somewhere in here, under that the cooler cloud tops, right in between the gray and the red. So that is where your low pressure currently is, and according to where it is on just the base map here, you could see it is expected to move generally off to the northeast. Kind of gonna have landfall in the Bahamas. I don't know if they're gonna make that official or not, because the eye, if you want to say just the low pressure's general area, it's pretty big now. It's a huge low pressure. It's not that tight, compact core anymore. So half of it is definitely going to be on land in the southeastern Bahamas. So we do want to keep an eye on that to see if maybe they do declare a landfall here in the Bahamas or not. I'm not too sure. That's kind of a 50-50 shot on if they do or don't. But either way, if they do or don't, the main ordeal here is we are going to be seeing those damaging winds and all the other stuff that comes with hurricanes here. So let's go ahead and switch on over to, I do want to go to the official National Hurricane Center site to go ahead and talk about this. So current wind speeds and everything, you can see that scrolling at the bottom. Also right here in the middle of your screen, 100-mile-per-hour sustained wind speeds moving off to the northeast at 15 miles per hour, substantially higher than what it was yesterday morning. Yesterday morning, it was at about 7. Then when it made landfall, it was near 9, and now it is up to 15 miles per hour. And that will just continue to accelerate. It could get upwards of 30 miles per hour as this goes near the Bermuda tomorrow night. Also, that central minimum pressure right around 974 millibars. However, recon did show something here on the last pass, which was it is deepening. So we are seeing a bit of strengthening with that low pressure. I think the millibar was 976 on their first pass, and then they came by, and that second pass was 974 with the drops on. So actually, the first pass was 977, second pass was at 976, and then the NHC advisory came a little bit after all that. So the NHC went with 2 millibars lower, which was 974. We don't get another recon in this for a while. I don't think recon's going to be in here until probably near 6 p.m., maybe just after 6 p.m. Eastern time. Probably right around 6 p.m. Eastern, so it's going to be a while before we get recon in there. Glad to see Edison here, T, Ben, Weather Warrior, Jake. Let's see. Thank you guys all for being here. Really appreciate it. Cruz, welcome to the stream. Hello, watching from school. Well, welcome to the stream, if you can hear me. Let's see. I do want to go ahead and show you the rainfall, too. That's going to be a big issue. So that rainfall potential, we do see upwards of upwards of a foot of rainfall being possible there across the far southeastern Bahamas. Could see an inch or two across the Turks and Caicos areas. Going into the central Bahamas, you could see anywhere between no rain or upwards of 8 inches of rainfall there. So worst rainfall going to be focused right along like Long Island, the southeastern portion of Long Island and southeastern Bahamas. Right around that area will be where the worst of your rainfall will be. Also, the National Hurricane Center mentioned 4 to 7 foot storm surge will be possible near and east of that center. So storm surge will also be an issue. Taking a look at your cone here, we're only going to do the next 3 days. You can see how rapidly this thing's moving off to the northeast now. In just 3 days, it's going to go from the south, kind of the southwestern portion of the Bahamas here, all the way up to far northern Atlantic Ocean into the subtropics. Hurricane warning was recently issued by the National Hurricane Center at their latest advisory. I'm not for sure, but I feel like that was actually the 11. It was either the 11 a.m. or the 2 p.m. advisory, one or the other. Either way, hurricane warning in effect for Bermuda. Sustained hurricane force wind speeds are expected, and substantial impacts are likely to the island of Bermuda going into Thursday night and very early Friday morning. And you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and take off that cone, and we're going to go all the way just to the surface wind speeds, general surface wind speeds, and the watches and warnings. And you can see the tropical storm force wind field has grown substantially over the last 48 hours, and especially over the last 24 hours. Those hurricane force wind speeds have grown a little bit. It's not too big of a growth there for those hurricane force wind speeds. The main is that tropical storm force wind speeds and wind field has grown quite far from the center now. And the key messages here from the National Hurricane Center in eastern Cuba: life-threatening storm surge is already ongoing. Flash flooding, landslides, damaging winds ongoing this afternoon. Remain in your safe spot. For the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos, hurricane conditions are expected today with life-threatening storm surge, heavy rain, as well as damaging winds anticipated. Find safe shelter and follow local official guidance. Tropical storm conditions and heavy rainfall and significant storm surge are also expected in the Turks and Caicos Islands later today. Haiti and the Dominican Republic, catastrophic flash flooding is still ongoing. Landslides are still expected across portions of Haiti and the Dominican Republic through today. In Haiti, extensive damage and isolation of communities is likely. Tropical storm conditions are still expected through this afternoon across these areas. Bermuda, hurricane conditions and heavy rainfall are expected in Bermuda very late Thursday and continuing through Thursday night, also into Friday morning. Also, post-tropical safety impacts, that's going to be very far up there in Atlantic Canada. And also for post-storm impacts here. So this is for Jamaica. Since Jamaica, you're pretty much done now. Maybe some isolated rain left, but you're pretty much done. So post-storm safety in the impacted areas. Follow advice from your local officials. If you need to, remain in shelter after the storm is passed due to those downed power lines, flooded areas, and ensure generators are very properly ventilated and placed outside at least 20 feet away from dwellings or garages to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning, which is actually something that is very common after and even during hurricanes. During cleanup, be careful and be careful when using chainsaws and power tools, and drink plenty of water to avoid heat exhaustion. So just your basic things, but some basic things that you may end up forgetting due to, being hit by a hurricane. You could be in a state of shock there. So just be very careful. Try to use critical thinking there, and be very careful when you are going outdoors. Make sure, obviously, you have preferably boots, but at least really good shoes, really good boots. Don't go out in like flip-flops or something, because there could be nails that could easily end up going right through those very, poorly made flip-flops. So just be very careful, very, very careful out there, especially in Jamaica and Haiti, because those two areas have been impacted substantially over the last 24 hours, and even well beyond that too, or well before that. I don't want to give you any false numbers. I know numbers have been higher, so I'm going to give you the official numbers that I have been given as of about 20 minutes ago. Hurricane Melissa fatality total is 54 plus people, so over 54 deaths have occurred, over 40 or around 40 in Haiti, and around 5 in Jamaica. However, in Jamaica, that's probably going to go up substantially, unfortunately. Dominican Republic, already 4, and then in Panama, 2 as well. So right around 54 or more fatalities confirmed thus far, and we will get more confirmed, unfortunately. But so far, that remains at about 54, and I know a lot of people are missing. I know at least 10 plus people are missing, but that was only from like Jamaica last time I heard, so it's probably substantially higher than that when you include other areas like Cuba, Haiti, Jamaica, and other regions. So at least 54 fatalities so far from Melissa. But again, unfortunately, that is likely going to rise as we go on throughout the week, because it could take upwards of a week before we really start knowing the full extent of Jamaica's damage. But I do know here, unfortunately, we have seen some of the worst hurricane damage I've ever seen personally, even right up there with Dorian. Dorian, oh my goodness, Dorian's damage was horrible. But this one also right next to that, out in Black River. I mean, the extent of the damage is just insane. I'll try to find some of the tweets. Hopefully I liked them. I was going through them last night very late. I don't know if I saved any of them. So I'm going to go ahead and look up here. Also, be careful of AI damage photos, because that has actually been a very, very bad thing recently. I'm going to mute the audio there, so that way we won't be able to hear any copyrighted audio. Let's see here. So I know like Black River was hit really, really, really bad. The Bay International Airport that's Montego Bay International Airport was hit really, really bad as well. But there was a specific photo that I wanted to find out. Yeah, this was it. But I don't know exactly where it was. They didn't give a location. But a very well built church that has been standing for like 100 some years was almost fully leveled. Like there was only one portion of the wall still standing, and I mean that's a full brick, well built church. I believe it. Like I heard it burnt down about 100 years ago and then was rebuilt, and now I mean it's pretty much leveled. It's really leveled, except for like one wall. And then I mean there's so much damage, so many damage photos. Let me see if I could also find the other one. I mean, it looked like an apocalyptic scene there. Yeah, Black River High Street. Wherever High Street is in Black River, that's where. Well, I mean, there's High Street right there. So, I mean, that's right along the coastal area. I mean, the damage was just crazy in that area. Like I said, something kind of like what Dorian did to the Bahamas a couple years back. Very, very insane damage. But that's only the start of it, really, because we haven't seen... It's going to take weeks. Like I said, it's going to take days to 1 to 2 weeks before we can fully grasp just how bad the damage was out in that area. And recovery efforts are going to be very, very difficult. I do know this hit, like, the western portion of Jamaica. That's where they get a lot of their resources from. The farmland, too, is on the western side of Jamaica. So recovery efforts are going to be pretty difficult, but I'm sure that that they're ongoing at this point. So just really hoping for the best for the recovery of Jamaica, because especially right around the Black River area, because that area was horribly hit. So that's an update on what we had in Jamaica. I know a lot of communities are still without electricity, especially right around Black River and going through the exact eye path. A lot of the areas are still without power, and I mean that will be the case for at least a week. Most will be out of power, but that could last substantially longer in most isolated communities there. Also for Haiti, again, the fatalities in Haiti, that was one of the big things that came out this morning. I already said that 40 fatalities in Haiti, just insane. That's most of those I'd have to imagine are because of landslides and rainfall, really rainfall there, because we were forecasting, the NHC was forecasting upwards of 40 inches of rain there. And it looks like, let's see, this region here, that area was hit the worst. That's where the worst and the highest amount of fatalities, at least that we've gotten from for reports so far, was located. So that's just a quick update on everything from so far. I might give another update on our next stream, whenever that may be. But yeah, just again, satellite imagery here for the Bahamas. You can see we are getting those cooler cloud tops back here. So this is strengthening, and it is westerly wind shear. So, I mean, if this can get wrapping around the center a little bit, we could actually see a little bit more intensification here. We're only anticipating about 5 miles per hour, but if that can really wrap around the southern side of the low pressure, cut off that wind shear, could definitely strengthen a little bit more. I also want to touch on what happened in Cuba, too, just going back on satellite imagery there for those who didn't stay up till 3:10 a.m., which I think was most of us. I was going to live stream last night, but I decided to just, go to sleep early. That way I wouldn't be, like, completely unable to live stream today, because didn't get much sleep the night prior. So this is what happened in Cuba here. So after it left Jamaica, gracious day, jump scare. Still crazy. Still can't even fathom that. Look at that. Absolutely wild satellite imagery there. Left Jamaica. It really started to rapidly recover. Thankfully, that eye didn't really sustain. You can see the eye did get out at about 10:10 Eastern time. But it was kind of a wobbly eye, and any convection that fired around the eye disrupted it quite a lot. Okay, a little bit of a satellite bug right there. So we'll just continue on. But you can see we continued to see convection fire around the eye. So it did get back up to Category 4 status. I think the max I think the max was 130 mile per hour sustained winds, 950 millibar. And then it did weaken a little bit as it hit eastern Cuba. You could see that eyes started to close just before it made landfall. But I'm very, very curious about this area. I mentioned it in a tweet last night before I went to sleep. It did seem like we had an east shift for the last about 4 hours or so up until landfall. And it put this city of over 440,000 people right inside the eye wall. So I'm really curious how much damage we got in that area because the original landfall here, if we go ahead and kind of pinpoint where that was, I'm just going to kind of imagine where that center is. So it made landfall right about here. I mean, that's pretty close. Yeah, that's about 10 miles further east than what we originally were anticipating. At the 11 p.m. advisory, the landfall location, I think, was about 25 miles away. It was over here, but it ended up making landfall closer to here. And that 10-mile difference, when you have such a large eye wall like we did after it hit Jamaica, that eye wall was substantially larger. That easily could have put this very populated city right inside the eye wall. So I'm really curious to see if we got anything in that region in the form of damage or worse. So hopefully we get to hear from that area shortly in Cuba. I'm not too sure, but I'll try to keep you guys updated the best I can if I get any information out of that area. But again, we won't get much information out of that region until a couple days after landfall. So much of our information will be about a week from yesterday. So yesterday was Tuesday, the 28th. So go 7 days ahead of that. I don't know. That's about November 4th or so, right around there. That's when we should have a lot more idea. I think it was about 20 feet, Ben. I heard about 20-foot storm surge right in Black River, in between Black River and Crawford. I heard between 15 to 20-foot storm surge in that area. And then Alligator Pond, I heard about 13 to 15-foot storm surge. And then up here in Cuba, I believe it was 7 to 13-foot storm surge. And then in the Bahamas, it is about 7-foot storm surge. I don't know exactly how much. It might be 5 to 7 or 7 to 10, somewhere right around there. Upwelling is crazy, TRG. Yep. Yeah, I saw a photo of that earlier from satellite. You can see the upwelling here. If I go ahead and show you. So this is what just south of Jamaica looked like. This is using Zoom Earth. Awesome program here. This is what Jamaica looked like before the landfall. Now you can really see it from upwelling perspective. It's hard to see the terrain on Jamaica, but we're really focusing on that upwelling area right down in here where it was the strongest and where it also stalled out at. And this was about 7 days ago. So, I mean, Melissa was way, way out here as a tropical storm at that point. So we're going to go all the way forward. And you can see it here. A little bit hard because we do have a lot of clouds. But you can see the complete upwelling that we've seen in this area. Full upwelling in that entire area. Very, very, very obvious. And also, I'm sure this is really obvious from the sea surface temperatures as well. The problem is the Caribbean runs so deep that it's probably wasn't a huge, huge issue. And that's why this system was just able to consistently strengthen. Yeah, according to this was 8 a.m. this morning, and there is no sign of any upwelling issue right here. If you remember, Aaron, when it passed north of the Dominican Republic, the upwelling in this area, it took almost a month for it to get back to normal sea surface temperatures. And it doesn't even look like we saw a Category 5 hurricane out here. I mean, it literally, it might have went down by a degree. Maybe not even that. And this is according to 8 a.m. this morning, so might have to give it another day or two, maybe, before that upwelling is obvious. But right now, it doesn't look like upwelling was an issue at all. Might be a little bit more obvious on ocean heat content. Let's see here. See if we got a bit more obvious look at ocean heat. Nope, ocean heat content looks the same, but yeah, that was updated today as well. So really doesn't seem like it was a huge upwelling issue there, or it didn't really not as much upwelling as you would expect from a hurricane, at least on sea surface temperatures. But it's very obvious from satellite. I don't know if that is also in part to storm surge or something, because I feel like that could be also in part to storm surge along these coastal areas from Kingston all the way back up to where it made landfall, because I feel like that kind of could give you an idea of where the worst storm surge was there, all the way from it made landfall here. Right about here is where it made landfall, so it would make sense that just to the west of the center and then well east of the center is where the worst storm surge was. Now, obviously can't see it anything yet in Cuba. Cuba's, yeah, not going to be nearly as worse out there in Cuba. But I don't know if that's just like maybe shallower water now. It definitely wasn't like that a couple days ago. It wasn't like that a couple days ago here. Once again, I mean, that's what it looked like. It looked like the ocean. Looked like the ocean about 6 days ago. Very much normal. And not so much now. So, definitely caused a lot of upwelling. Especially since it stalled. Alright, there we go. Welcome, Sam. Glad to see you in here. Know you've been in here for a little bit, but just wanted to welcome you. So, yeah, that's the main stuff I want to talk about there in terms of what did happen there. But also out here in the Bahamas, I was going to say Bermuda, the Bahamas still, we're watching for those significant wind gusts. Wind gusts could be upwards of about 130 miles per hour we're looking at for maximum wind gusts. So it is definitely going to be an issue for the Bahamas. That's why, you know, we don't want to disclude the Bahamas here. I know not a lot of people are talking about the Bahamas, but that wind field is large, and honestly, it's probably larger than what the NHC update was here. Last time they updated this about 4 hours ago. So it's probably larger than this. And those tropical storm force wind speeds are really, really, really far out from the center. You could see here, there's the swath. You could see how much larger it is starting to grow after it made landfall in Jamaica. And after it leaves Cuba, which it already has, that's when that wind field is going to grow very, very quickly. So far, our deaths are up to about 54 confirmed deaths, I believe it was. 54 confirmed deaths, 40 of which were in Haiti, but that is just what's been confirmed thus far. Unfortunately, substantially higher death tolls will likely be confirmed about a week from now. It takes a good... I'm surprised we even got any information on that today. I thought it would have taken a couple of days, at least 3, before we got any information on that. Yeah, so you can see the hurricane force wind speeds. Unfortunately, all of it went right over Jamaica. All went right over Jamaica. I was hoping that it would make landfall far enough west to where the western hurricane force wind speeds would be offshore, but you can see they were still on land there. And look at that tropical storm force wind field all the way up into Haiti. And you can see it is obviously still continuing up to the northeast, so just kind of imagine that continuing, and you can kind of get an idea of where those tropical storm force wind speeds will be. So the western side of the Turks and Caicos, and then all the way up here into you know, maybe as far north as Authorstown and the southeastern Bahamas. And then those hurricane force wind speeds, you got to imagine them turning a little bit here. They're going to turn a little bit more to the east, so definitely going to go over portions of the far southeastern Bahamas here. And the main question is really just if we get a landfall or not. Right now, it doesn't look like we are. It looks like it's going to thread the needle here. But remember, that eye is very, very large. It's a really, really large eye. And it's not a very confined eye either, or very well formed eye. So those wind gusts are going to be very much focused in probably either the northwest side of the eye wall or the northeast side of the eye wall. And I'd imagine we probably don't have a southern eye wall, honestly. Considering the lack of convection, I really would not be surprised if we just simply don't have a southern eye wall. But yeah, this gives you an idea here. This is for 5 p.m. Eastern today, just an hour, exactly an hour from now. And this gives you an idea of how large that eye wall is. Huge eye wall and huge eye. Giant eye there. And you could see the little bit of a weaker southern eye wall there. And then as we go a little bit further with time, that really starts to break apart across the southern and southeast side. And remember, landfall is where that central minimum pressure hits land. So, I mean, it's going to be pretty close. Pretty close for a landfall there over the Bahamas. And we're really not going to be able to tell. I don't know if the NHC is going to call that at all, even if it does happen. Because you can see the HAFSA has a clear landfall. HAFSB is a little bit to the east. The H Wharf is very close to landfall, but it looks like it would probably miss. And then the H Mond is a clear miss for landfall. And then going down in the future here, you can see it's going to start taking on kind of a more subtropical look to it. Not extra tropical, but more of a subtropical look to it here. If we zoom out. There we go. Zoom out a bit. We will see a bit of a breakdown of the precipitation on the southeast side of your main eye wall there. The southeast side is going to have less precipitation. However, the wind speeds will probably be highest on the southeast side because they will be funneling right on into the center. And so that's why, even though the center is forecasted to go, honestly, pretty well west of Bermuda at this point, tomorrow night into Friday morning, we're still likely going to see sustained hurricane force wind speeds there. The red is hurricane force sustained wind speeds. And if the pink goes a little bit more east, could be closer to 90 to 100 mile per hour sustained wind speeds there. We're thinking probably a high-end Cat 1 for Bermuda. Let's see what the new... Ooh, actually, they have Cat 2, yeah. So definitely, like, low-end Cat 2, high-end Category 1, as it passes pretty well west of Bermuda. I mean, we're literally talking 100 miles west of Bermuda. But those hurricane force wind speeds are still going to be able to hit you. If we go in and look at that forecasted radius, you could see those hurricane force wind speeds there. And they may even be a bit bigger than this. And if you follow that track, the sustained hurricane force wind speeds will probably barely clip Bermuda. And those tropical storm force wind speeds will very much well be hitting Bermuda. So that's why we have hurricane warnings in effect. It may be sustained hurricane force wind gusts. What in the world? Maybe sustained hurricane force winds, or it could be multiple instances of hurricane wind gusts, one or the other. Either sustained hurricane force wind speeds or frequent hurricane force wind gusts. It just depends how far west. Were you surprised by the landfall? I wasn't surprised by the fact that it made landfall in Jamaica, but I was surprised at the intensity, for sure. And Cuba didn't really surprise me. It briefly got back to Cat 4, but it made landfall as a high-end Cat 3, which is generally what we were thinking, low-end Cat 4, high-end Cat 3. So really no surprise in Cuba, honestly. And then for the Bahamas, it doesn't really seem like it's too much of a surprise. The main surprises happened around Jamaica, which the biggest two was the crazy intensification phase we saw after it stalled out. That was the first one. The stalling out for 4 hours was crazy. That was insane. Nothing showed that happening whatsoever. And then the continued intensification from 160 all the way to 185 up until landfall was also wild. Those two things surprised me very much. Yeah, still getting more videos out here from this is Westmoreland, which I recognize that name. I think that's over here. I thought it was somewhere in this area. I guess I'm wrong. Westmoreland, Jamaica. Oh, I was close. I just thought it was more on the coastline there. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Seems like we're getting a lot of damage reports from there too. But the thing is, I'm trying to be very careful on what I mention because unfortunately, there's a lot of AI photos going around. So be very careful. Be very, very, very careful on what you're taking what you're taking in seriously. Try to investigate it a little bit further and just look closely for anything that may be a sign of AI. Uh, I know again one went very viral yesterday, the one I called out on Twitter too. So just be careful. Unfortunately, there's actually people that do that. You don't think somebody would be that what's the word? I can't think of the word. Just sharing AI photos of damage photos, and during a hurricane that is impacting Jamaica, and they literally, like the one I saw, literally said like damage photos from Jamaica, and it's an AI generated photo. So I mean, you have better faith in humanity than to do things like that, but unfortunately, there's people out there that actually will share completely AI generated photos, or also look out for previous damage photos from like the Bahamas from Dorian, or from any other hurricanes that people may be trying to reuse and call it Jamaica's damage. Because you got to be really, really careful. And then also be careful about the numbers being thrown around with fatalities. I know there's multiple different sources that are calling out fatalities higher, well higher than 54, like I said. But again, that's the ones that I see as confirmed fatalities right now. But unfortunately, we're definitely going to be getting more. Those numbers will definitely go up again. 54 so far confirmed. At least the tornado threat yesterday wasn't too rough. I mean, we had multiple tornado warnings and a bunch of severe warnings, and I think we had. It was very hard to tell. It was either corruption or potentially a strong tornado with that first tornado warning of the day out in eastern Texas. It was a very difficult call, but the NWS out there did confirm the tornado warning. So it was a very, very difficult call. I didn't post about it on Twitter because I didn't know if it was a tornado or not until the NWS said it was. They confirmed that from a tornado warning. Yeah, so we're just keeping an eye to see if we can get any wrapping of this convection. Obviously, the low pressure is weaker, so it's going to have a harder time to wrap that convection. And we're not looking at like a category 5 here, right? So category 5 can easily wrap that convection around very tightly and really, really maintain and intensify. Whereas category 2 here, that is weakening. Remember, this is starting to die out now. Now we could see a little strengthening. That's why we're seeing these blobs of convection pop up. We could see 5 to 10 mile an hour strengthening over the next, at this point, 3-4 hours. Up until 8 p.m. After 8 p.m., we should see a continual slow, very slow weakening. It's not going to be rapid. It's going to be maintaining around this look right here. So it's going to look very messy, but it's still going to maintain right around category 2 status, upper tier cat 1, right around low tier category 2 status, all the way until Friday morning, Friday afternoon. So yeah, it's not going to be like it just dissipates out of nowhere. It's still going to be able to maintain hurricane status for multiple more days, 2 or so days here, 2 or 3 days. And then it will be Saturday is when we're expecting the most weakening, and then Sunday is when we are expecting it to be a extra tropical storm. I believe Sunday, right? I mean, they have that cone going all the way out till the 3rd, though. All the way out till the 3rd, so I don't know. I don't think they'll be still doing advisories there that long. I feel like once it gets past Atlantic Canada up in here, that's where they'll cut it off, either the 1st or 2nd of November. And I think that's like Saturday, Sunday. Yep, Saturday, Sunday. Saturday is the 1st. Any news from Cuba? Cat 3 is still bad. I haven't seen anything from Cuba right now. I haven't seen anything from Cuba, but I know that obviously they took a direct hit. I'm pretty worried for this city right here. Like I said, they got in the eye wall from what I could tell. And also, that's a population of over 440,000 people. Any news if there were tornadoes in eastern Cuba yesterday? I didn't see anything confirmed, but I did see some crazy radar imagery from low res radar. So I'd imagine we probably had a few tornadoes, at least offshore. We had probably a full-fledged waterspout outbreak. But I don't know if any of those actually made it onshore and did damage. It's really hard to confirm things outside of the U.S. It really is. For like Jamaica, it's a bit easier for Jamaica, Cuba, and the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Puerto Rico, Lesser Antilles, we still get updates from, but from like anywhere else, it's really difficult. And even in Cuba and Haiti and the Dominican Republic, it still ends up being a bit more difficult compared to the US at least. It's because the US gets things like weather, severe weather, and landfalling hurricanes are a lot more common in the US than most of these other areas. So they may not have as many precautions. Now, Jamaica's been through a few major hurricanes, so thankfully they did have some, they have well-built structures that are made to withstand hurricanes to an extent. But like I mentioned in yesterday's landfall coverage, Western Jamaica is not doesn't have as many well-made as buildings as Eastern Jamaica. It's supposed to be 50 degrees in South Florida on Halloween morning. Oof. Yeah, we have a huge cold front pulling through. This cold front was supposed to be the trough pulling through now is the trough that was originally like 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. It looked like it was going to be a big time tornado event, a really big time tornado event, but it turned into a completely positive mega trough. You can see here, this is the 500 millibar GFS model run here. And it was a week and a half ago, I mean, it looked like it was going to be a very negatively tilted trough over the central U.S., but instead, it's very positive. And when you get a positively tilted trough like that, I wonder where it came from. Because, yeah, it looks like it did swing down from Canada. If it was more north, like if it swung down from up here, we would be getting into probably the freezing points here across the mid-Atlantic. But it did hit Canada, so it's bringing at least some cold with it. Yeah, look at that. Could get even down into the freezing points, even with this trough not being so far on the so far north here. Still freezing in the mountainous terrain, and maybe some wind chills could get into the freezing point there tomorrow morning. And then Friday morning, a large area here in the lower 40s, upper 30s here, and North Dakota, Montana into the low 30s. Very, very cold. And then getting into the 1st of November, we're definitely going to be getting a taste of winter. 1st of November, taste of winter. Large chunk of the U.S. into the low to mid 40s. And that actually goes all the way back into the western U.S. as well. Huge chunk of the U.S. into the low to mid 40s Saturday morning. And it's only a matter of time before we start seeing things like this. Before we start seeing these Arctic blasts start to infiltrate the U.S. as that polar vortex gets weaker and starts to get more unstable. And line up one of those with good low pressure, and you end up with a nor'easter. And I think there is a high chance of a nor. Now, maybe not this early, okay? November 10th, I still think that's very early in the season. As I said in my winter forecast, we're really looking at late December through late February or even early March as the main winter season. November should be relatively above average in terms of temperatures and below average in terms of snowfall. across much of the U.S., with the exception of maybe some lucky people who get in on that maybe one big snowstorm we see in November. I do want to mention another thing here. Let's go to tropical tidbits. Let's go down to the Western Atlantic. Let's go all the way out. We are watching for the potential of tropical development again, this time out in just a very small portion here of the Southern Caribbean. We're going to be getting some vorticity blobs off the coastline of South America, and as those traverse off of South America and move up towards Central America as they are in the Caribbean, they could briefly spin up as a tropical depression and cause some isolated moderate to heavy rainfall across Central America into the Yucatan Peninsula. It doesn't look like we're going to see a tropical storm or anything like what the GFS shows here, literally on the last frame of the GFS model run. I don't think we're going to end up with anything like that, but we will need to watch for the potential of very minimal tropical development out here. And I'm not just saying that to try to hype up one more named storm of the season, although I do think we could see one more named storm of the season sometime in the month of November, and it will likely be barely a tropical storm. If we go ahead and go over to here and go to weather-wise. Oh, hey, update. Swedish weather radar. Sweet. Where's that at? Sorry. I don't know much of my countries over here. All right, but yeah, let's go over to outlooks and let's go to the Climate Prediction Center's tropical formation. There you go. The CPC yesterday, or I believe it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday, because yesterday was Tuesday. They did end up highlighting an area for tropical formation here. Only about a 20% chance right across the far southwestern and western portion of the Caribbean going into next week. And then the week following, they continue that area highlighted a little bit larger. So we're not done with hurricane season. We still have a chance for a spin-up tropical storm, albeit likely barely a tropical storm like I just mentioned, but still a chance for a spin-up tropical storm. One more named storm is a possibility, which would mark 14 named storms this season, which would put it right smack dab on the average. Right smack dab on the average hurricane season point. 14 named storms is the average hurricane season. So, average hurricane season, if we see one more, average hurricane season in the terms of of named storms, below average in terms of hurricanes, and then above average in terms of major hurricanes. We didn't get a lot of quick spin-up hurricanes. The hurricanes that we got were majors. We got, out of the 5 hurricanes this year, which we normally get about 7, out of the 5 we got, 4 of them were major, and 3 of them were Category 5s. So we didn't get a lot of just quick spin up hurricanes that just briefly become Cat 1s or Cat 2s and then end up weakening again. The hurricanes we got were very long lived and pretty intense, with the exception of that I named storm. I think that I named storm was briefly a Category 1 across the northern Bahamas. Oh my goodness, what was it? Imelda. I think it was Imelda. Yeah, Imelda. That, I believe, was our only quick spin-up hurricane. And typically we see like 3 or 4 of those quick spin-up hurricanes that are just hurricanes for like 2 days. But that... Oh, it was a Cat 2? Yeah, because it merged with Umberto, right? It became a Cat 2, like right around when it merged with Umberto. That Fujiwara effect, 2 closest hurricanes in, I believe, in history. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure they were the 2 closest hurricanes in the Atlantic ever recorded. Melda Hurricane. Yeah, Category 2 combined with Umberto. That's insane. Yeah, it was a Category 2 just before Bermuda as it merged with Umberto. I-name was actually the most normal storm of the season. No, it wasn't. Nope, because it literally had a Fujiwara effect. Literally had a Fujiwara effect, so not necessarily normal. The most normal storm of the season was probably Karen. I think it was Karen. in terms of a dangerous name. The K name, the I and the K name, those are the two. Well, now the M too, the K, I, and M name. Those are the three you really got to be watching in a given hurricane season. The I name was a cat too, merged with Umberto. Um, and then Karen, which is the K name, was the furthest northern subtropical storm to ever form. And then what the M name obviously was what we are tracking. Melissa. You also got to watch H2, Umberto, and a couple other notable ones. The ones that typically come in the middle of the season. So like you have A, B, C, D, E, and then you really got to start watching F, G. I don't really know any big G names. Gilbert. It's like the only one I know, and that's because we just talked about it. Because it was we were talking about Melissa beating Gilbert for the strongest storm to ever hit Jamaica. And oh boy, did Melissa ever beat that. Gilbert was 130, Melissa was 185. I don't think we're beating Melissa's record for Jamaica in a couple of decades. I would be shocked if we get a 185 or 190 to hit Jamaica. Even, it might be centuries, honestly. It's very rare for a 185 mile per hour hurricane to hit anywhere. The Bahamas had one, and now Jamaica's had one. And then I'm sure we did have a couple. Actually, I don't even know. I'm going to go look at that. How many 185 mph sustained storms have hit land in the North Atlantic basin? It's got to be pretty limited. Dorian, the Labor Day hurricane, and Melissa. Apparently, those were the only three. Dude, the fact we got two within a 6-year time frame. So the first one was in 1935, second one was in 2019, and then the third one was in 2025. The fact we got one just 6 years after we already had one. That's crazy. Man. The water will get warmer. The water will get warmer overall, so it should create more and stronger storms in the future. There's only you can only have so warm of waters, right? And really that's where we're at. 31 to 32 Celsius is like peak water. That's pretty much as hot as it can get out there. But the big thing with that, it's dangerous saying that, waters get warmer, so storms should get stronger. Because the reason why this hurricane season didn't have anything crazy up until Melissa was wind shear. Wind shear was a killer of a lot of storms going into the Caribbean and the Gulf. So anything that was in the main development region was stronger, like Aaron and Umberto. But in the Caribbean, everything was just dying out because of wind shear, even despite those really well above average waters, until Melissa came along. And Melissa was that one storm that we talked about for all year. All year, we kept saying all it takes is one storm with minimal wind shear to get in the Caribbean, and literally the atmosphere's possibilities is the limit. And that's what we saw with Melissa. So the potential for stronger storms may increase because we're starting our average hurricane season's sea surface temperatures in the Gulf and the Caribbean is like 31 to 32 Celsius now, which is very favorable. But wind shear is going to be a big player in that. So there could be higher potential for storms to form into that, well into that category 5 status like we saw with Melissa, but it's all going to come down to other ingredients like wind shear and dry air. And it's not like we're seeing a decrease or increase in wind shear every single year. That's just, it's randomized. It's really randomized. And the only thing that you can kind of forecast with it is an El Nino or La Nina. This year we were in a La Nina, which typically is less favorable, or rather, You don't get as much wind shear out here in the Atlantic in a La Nina, and more wind shear in the Eastern Pacific. But the Eastern Pacific went crazy during the La Nina, and then as we switched into a neutral, that's when finally things picked up here in the Atlantic. So there's still a lot to learn about with wind shear and dry air and how that affects hurricane seasons, and trying to predict that well into the future. But yes, theoretically, as warmers get as waters get warmer, the potential for storms being stronger is higher, which is what Melissa showed. Melissa did show that. But you got to think back. I mean, literally, like 90 years ago, right? 90 years ago, we had a 185 mile per hour storm hit Florida. So it may get a little bit more common, but it's still going to be a rare occurrence. Like, you may see it a little bit more frequently, maybe once every. It's hard to say because we've only seen 2 in 6 years. So, Dorian 2019 and then Melissa now. So it's hard to recognize a pattern. It's going to take 50 some years to see if we start getting a pattern on more frequent 185 mile per hour storms. This storm will likely be retired. I don't know about Aaron because Aaron didn't have as many direct impacts. We had indirect impacts to the northern Lesser Antilles and the northern portion of Puerto Rico, and maybe a bit in the Dominican Republic and the eastern Bahamas. And then we did have pretty good impacts in eastern North Carolina from Aaron, but nothing was direct. It was indirect, mainly in the form of waves. Outside of Eastern NC did get pretty direct impacts from the outer bands. So I don't think Aaron will be retired, and I don't think Umberto will be retired. But I do think Melissa will be retired. I'd be pretty surprised if it's not going to be retired. Considering it made landfall in Jamaica as well into a Cat 5 status, then hit Cuba at a high in Cat 3 and is now hitting the Bahamas at a low in Cat 2, and then it's going to go up and hit Bermuda as either a low in Cat 2 or a high in Cat 1. I wonder if Milton's already been retired. Yeah, it was already retired. Milton, Beryl, and Helene were all retired last year. Milton, Beryl, and Helene. I was pretty sure we had at least Milton retired. I honestly can't remember Beryl too well. The only thing I can remember about Beryl is obviously its craziness in the Eastern Caribbean and the Lesser Antilles. But like, I can't remember if it did anything in towards Jamaica or the Yucatan Peninsula. I do remember it hit Texas, I think, as a Cat 1. I remember it being a Cat 4 and 5 in around the Lesser Antilles and in the Eastern Caribbean. And then I remember it hitting Texas as a Cat 1. So I guess because it hit the Lesser Antilles as a Cat 4, that's probably what got it retired. Pretty sure Ian got retired as well. Yeah, Ian was retired too. It was replaced by what the heck? How do you say that? Idris, something like that. And we'll get that. So if Ian wasn't retired, we would get it in 3 years, 2028. Ian would come back on the named list, but it got retired, so it'll be Idris. Yeah, Helene was retired. Helene, Milton, and Beryl retired last year. Let's see here. Adalia should have been retired. Nope. I don't think it was retired. But it, it's got to be very significant. I know it made landfall at Cat 3, low end Cat 3, so I don't know. Typically, it's the high end Cat 4s and low end Cat 5s that get retired. And I mean, Helene was horrible for NC, so I mean, he, when you hear Adalia, you can't really think too much about what Adalia did. You know, it's not as memorable as other names. Like if you think Ian, boom, you're probably instantly going to remember what Ian did. Beryl, you're going to remember what Beryl did. Melissa, all these retired names, Dorian, you're going to be able to think really quickly about what they did if you are a big weather enthusiast. But like for Adalia, I don't remember Adalia being horrible. Of course, it's a major hurricane, so it did do a lot of damage and was bad. But retired names are for the worst of the worst storms to where the name is never used again. It's never used again because it's associated with very significant catastrophic damage. Oh yeah, Irma's. Oh yes, Irma is long gone, retired. Irma, Katrina, Dorian. So many names have been retired. Man, Irma, dude. Oof. Irma is honestly an overlooked storm. I don't know if anybody's overlooked Irma before. Irma, my word, dude. I didn't even track that, but looking back at the records of it, I'm shocked at how it evolved and how long it sustained Cat 5 intensity and how many times it was Cat 5, too. I think Maria is probably overlooked from that year. Harvey and Irma are two of the most known storms from that year. I think Maria was well overlooked from 2017. Show a storm system on Monday next week in the Gulf Coast states. Yeah, Michael was retired too. Um, I see the European has that, but outside of that, no other model. Oh, well, you mean this upcoming Monday? Yeah, you're probably talking about this upcoming Monday. Yeah, that's that big trough. That's going to help bring in even cooler temps. We're going to get some very cold temperatures this weekend and into early next week. And then I imagine we're going to get a warm up after that. Normally that's how winter works. Yep. Cool Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, cool. Tuesday we start to get warmer. Yep. Very nice across much of the US Tuesday. High 50s across much of the U.S. on Tuesday, with the exception of extreme northern U.S. and extreme northwestern and northeastern U.S. And then Wednesday, really nice across the entire U.S. except for those same areas, northwest, north central, northeast U.S. Thursday, starting to get a little bit on the hotter side, back up into your mid to high 80s out there in Texas, but really nice going into Thursday too. So we get a cool down for a couple days and then a warm up right after. What about like today? Yeah, tomorrow morning it's going to be cold too. So it looks like probably Tuesday is going to be one of the nicest days next week. Tuesday, Wednesday. And a lot of precipitation is removed from the U.S. Look at that big old fat high pressure right there. Big boy. Huge high pressure right there. So that's keeping much of your precipitation away from a huge chunk of the U.S. So many of us will be precipitationless. Tuesday, there's still some leftover precipitation on the coastal areas up here. So Tuesday, Wednesday next week, very nice. If you have any outdoor plans, those are the 2 days to do it. Little clipper system coming by there on Thursday. Look at that little guy, the little tiny clipper. Um, Let's see. It's been great. 60s in South Mississippi. Yeah, that's really, really nice. Should stay like that for a while, honestly. We're in fall now, so shouldn't get back up into those probably no hotter than the low 80s for much of the rest of this month, which is only literally 2 days, and probably through much of next month too. Do you guys frequently get into the 80s during winter? I mean, I feel like the average for Mississippi is probably high 70s, like mid to high 70s during fall and winter for southern US. Yeah, we will be live for the NHC update, by the way. I'm not going to do too long a coverage today. I wanted to talk about everything, the temperatures in the US, what's happening in the US next, what Melissa's doing and gonna do, and what it already did. It can be 80 on Christmas in Houston. We got to get somebody in the central or southern US has to get a white Christmas this year. Quit giving the north central US a white Christmas. They have the highest chance of it. We need somebody from like Oklahoma, Tennessee, or somewhere in here. Somebody in here we need to get a snowstorm in here for a white Christmas. I know that's highly unlikely the further south you go, but like the northern US, you guys get it enough. Share the snow. Would you consider March 14th and 15th of this year the storm of the century? No. April 27th, 2011. So far, that's the storm of the century. Not even close. Not even close. And if we go off of that too, wildfires and winds, December 15th, 2021 was very significant for that. Let's see here. Like 1993. Well, that's a snowstorm. That's a snowstorm. April 27th, 2011 was as dynamic and classic as it gets for a trough. How much sow do you get per year? Depends what type of sow we're talking about. Like sewing clothes or what other sow you talking about? You said sow. I know what you meant snow. Average is about 7 up here. White fluffy stuff. Yeah, average is about 7. We typically get between 5 to 7. I think I'm pretty sure we had like one white Christmas here in North Carolina. When I lived back in North Carolina not too long ago, I moved to Southern Virginia recently. Back in NC, I think there was one white Christmas, and I took it for big granted. I thought it was like common. And then ever since that one time, we've never had it again. Let me see what snow we got last season. Let's see here. Oh, I'm not going to be able to because it's already new season's already started, so I'm going to have to go to the archives. 2024 to 2025. Let's see here. I got about 6 inches of snow. So it was right on average. Yeah, like I said, between 5 to 7 is average out here. I haven't seen snow in 4 years. I'm so sad. Where are you at? You must be in southern Texas. I mean, shoot, even Florida saw snow before you. Panhandle of Florida got snow last year. My average is 24 inches of snow. Yeah, you didn't get your forecast was a complete bust for you last year. Like you were in a snow hole. I mean, you still got a foot. You still got a foot, but from southeast Iowa, northeastern here, I'll draw it. Right in here was a bit of a snow hole. You still got snow, but it wasn't average or above average. Like literally, central Indiana got almost 2 feet. And then out there in central Illinois, you got a foot. You got like half. Mod Dome. Oh yeah, southern Mississippi. You didn't get snow out of that Gulf Coast snowstorm last year? I swear that was I swear that hit Mississippi because like freaking Panama City got like 10 inches. Like somewhere it might have been in here near Crestview. Oh no, Milton. It was Milton. Because I remember that was the hurricane name. Milton, Florida got like 10 inches of snow last year. Because I remember seeing that report of 10 inches of snow in Milton. I'm like, hey, Milton, that was a hurricane earlier this year. That's where we got 10 inches of snow. It was the far western panhandle. And no, yeah, southern Mississippi got upwards of, what is it? Is that, I can't see that number. 7 inches of snow, Gulfport, Mississippi. Yeah, Gulfport, right in here. 7 inches of snow last year. Y'all got more than me. Crazy how Western Florida got more snow than much of the southern U.S. and eastern U.S. too. Now the northeast U.S. was covered. Up there near Buffalo, they got like 160 inches of snow. Like, geez, save some for the rest of us, will ya? Yeah, so that convection is not wrapping around at all around the center. That's still probably pushing it up in wind speeds up to 105, maybe max 110, but since it's not wrapping around that center, it's not going to be a major hurricane. It's not strong enough to wrap it around the center there, and we don't get recon here for a while. Let me see when they take off. Recon takes off. Oh, wow. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yeah, and they will be in the storm at, 7. 7 they will be in the storm. I thought it was going to be closer to 6. They'll be in the storm from 7 all the way until 1:30. But as for the future here on this channel, I might do a video Friday or Saturday. We will see. But another live stream won't be for a while because there's not really going to be much to talk about in terms of needing live coverage for anything. So there's a chance I do a video on Friday or Saturday. I'll let y'all know in the community post. I swear, I and M name storms are always so significant. It's the storms, it's the names that are in the middle of the season, typically. And now getting towards the end of the season, too. Like A, B, C, D, and E, those are typically not as intense as the later named storms. F is when everything starts to go down. That's when it starts to go downhill. That's when you start entering typically late August. You're around that F named storm. Or G, right around there. I don't know, what were we at? Let's see here. When did Fernand form? Apparently it was in September. I don't think that's right. That's from 2019. Can I get Fernand, please? And it was too zoomed in. A gracious day. I can't even find it. There it is. Late August. Late August. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. The F storm is normally about mid to late August. That's when Aaron was too. And then we went from Fernand to Gabrielle was almost a month without any tropical activity. We went from late August all the way to like almost late September without anything. And then Gabrielle formed, Umberto formed, Imelda formed, a little bit of a break. And then we got Jerry, which was a pretty short-lived one. Lorenzo, very short-lived one in the main development region. And then finally Melissa. And I still think we could get a brief little quick spin up in November as a weak tropical storm, but that's a possibility. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a quick spin up tropical storm in November, and I wouldn't be surprised if we just have nothing. Yeah, I got more lazy on my thumbnails recently. Oh, is that the new update? Oh, okay. Downgraded it to Cat 1. But no, you are not doing my thumbnail, Caleb. Heck no. Downgraded it to Cat 1, but it is still forecasted to re-strengthen. Now forecasted to re-strengthen by 15. Yeah. 90, 100. Making sure that's the right update. 2 a.m. Yeah, that's correct. And then 105. And then it will be between 15 and 100 as it impacts Bermuda. So finally, for the first time in days, this thing is actually all the way down to Cat 1. So I'm going to go ahead and change that to what it was. Or what it now is. 90, 974, still, yeah, same millibar, northeast at now 1 mile per hour quicker. So we are down to Cat 1. Cat 1 Melissa sounds so weird now. Yep. Everything's yellow. Caleb, you can't even math. Ben, you can't even spell. Man, my mods always be fighting. Caleb, shouldn't you still be in school? But yeah, won't be much content this weekend. I've got the last couple races. This is the last weekend for race weekend for like the next 3-4 months. So I'm gonna enjoy that very much with my family, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And like I said, I may have a video Friday or Saturday because the races are late on Friday and Saturday. So uh, I'd have time for it. I just don't know how I'll feel about actually doing it and if there's anything to talk about. I'll probably have to talk about freaking temperatures. That's what I had to start doing last year. You're gonna start seeing a lot more blue on my thumbnails, y'all. You're gonna start seeing a lot more videos and a lot more blue because we're gonna switch over to talking about temperatures because that's all there is to talk about during winter. It's good, shocking. It's gonna be cold in winter. You've never seen cold like this. It's gonna be 30 degrees, 30 degrees Fahrenheit in North Dakota. You've never seen cold like this before. I'm not ready for winter. I'm not ready for winter, man. I'm not. I'm gonna be bored. But hey, being bored during, trying to track weather, that's a good thing. Because that means there's not a lot of things happening. But even during snowstorms, I'm bored. Because I'm not. The older I get, the less fan I get of snowstorms. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of snow lovers in here, but that's just how it's been for me. 2 years ago, loved it. Last year, I started to get sick of it. And then this year, I don't even want to think of it. Maybe VA will get a big snowstorm. It's very much possible. I do think we could see an I-95 ripper this year. I think there's a very high chance we get a big nor'easter this year. Much higher than last year that we get a big nor'easter in this area. Much, much higher chance this year than last year. Substantially higher. Yeah, last year we didn't get a big nor'easter, but we did get a big Gulf Coast snowstorm. Gulf Coast blizzard, actually. There were blizzard warnings issued for the first time ever in southwestern Louisiana. Got something coming on here at 5 o'clock that I'm going to have in the background, so I'm going to pull that up, start watching that while I chat with you guys and stream, because I don't want to end in 8 minutes. I'm going to keep going longer. Or the hurricane ending. Yeah, the hurricane ends back up towards near Europe. I don't know if it's going to be hitting Europe, though. If you guys are from Europe or from like up here, the UK, Germany, France, all this area, I believe his name's Weather Watcher. Weather Watcher. He's a 18-year-old guy who's awesome with weather up here. Yeah, Weather Watcher. I used to watch him a long time ago. So if you are from this part of the world, Weather Watcher he's awesome. Really, really good at what he does. Although it seems like he's on a bit of a hiatus right now. Yeah, he's been more focused on Melissa than making videos, which understandable. But Weather Watcher, he's awesome for up there in Europe. And he sometimes does do the U.S., but he's mainly up in, he does Europe forecasts. My computer's starting to get mad at me because now I have something up on my other monitor. That's taking up a lot of RAM. What we are going to do, probably in November, we still have to do that 10,000 subscriber special. So if any of you guys are looking forward to that, it will be on this channel. And I think me and Lucky are going to end up doing Twisted. Right now the plan is probably Twisted. And then maybe Helicity. Maybe a bit of Outbreak. And then also NASCAR 25 game. And we'll probably mix in some weather weather talk in there too. And it's going to be a pretty long stream. We'll probably start in the afternoon and then go all the way until the early overnight hours. We're thinking about a 10-hour stream is what we're going to attempt for. So we'll start like just after lunchtime, probably near 1. And maybe after that, closer to between like right around 3 or so, and go from 3 all the way till like later. From 3 all the way till, I don't know, plus 10 hours from that. 24-hour stream? That ain't happening anytime soon. We ain't doing no 24-hour stream. We're planning a 10-hour stream, and hopefully it will be in November. Lucky's just been so busy, and it will not be fun without Lucky, so. It wouldn't be nearly as fun without Lucky, because he's somebody who really helped. He doesn't help as much, but he's the one who kickstarted this channel. He's the one who kickstarted this channel and really helped it grow from the early days. Yeah, new plane is taking off now. At least that was according to their schedule. Should have took off 10 minutes ago. I can't give you a date on that, but we agreed on it being I think a Sunday is what we agreed on. We might have to do another poll on that, though. Because I know, Saturday's the first day of the weekend, so people who are doing school all week or have jobs all week, Saturday's the day they do a bunch of other stuff, and then Sunday it might be a bit more calmer, so they have a better chance to join. Recon, that's what I was going to look at. Yeah, they're taking off now. From where? Who knows? We'll figure out in about 8 minutes. Yep. I'll give him credit. I know he doesn't help as much anymore, but that's not his fault. He has a lot more stuff going on now, so it's not like he just stopped having interest in weather. He just got a lot more busy. I mean, he used to help for like every stream. Every stream he was helping back. Even last year he was helping a lot. He kind of calmed down on it, but again, it's not his fault. This channel would not be anywhere close to where it is today without him. And of course everyone else in chat too, but Lucky, he's the co-owner of the channel. Literally wouldn't have been possible without him. What day did you say? We're thinking a Sunday sometime in November. Sometime in November. And I don't know if he's going to come up here. He kind of wants to come up here for it, but I'm trying to convince him to stay there so that way he'll have his gaming PC. He wants to bring his laptop up here and be here IRL. I don't know. I feel like I don't know which one. I'm 50-50 on it. I'm 50-50 on it. I still got the broken chair. I still have it, right? It's right next to me. See if you can hear the metal of it. Nope, it's too quiet. I do have it, though. It's still broken, but we are getting him a new one. We're getting a new one. We got to get that ASAP. We got to get that in ASAP. Also, he is going to donate $50, I think he said. It's either 50 or 100. I'm not sure which one, but we do have the charity he's going to be donating to. It's the official government Jamaica donation charity. And we're going to directly donate it to their relief effort on rebuilding Jamaica after Melissa here. So he is going to plan on that. I don't know when he's going to do that, but I will let y'all know because I know that's not something to mess around with. You know, if you say you make a donation, you got to make it. You got to live up to that. That's one thing me and Lucky never mess around with, and that is money. Don't mess around with money, man. What in the world has Ben talking about? Oh, retired names. Save every penny. Yeah. I got a lot in savings. I really hope one day we'll be able to go out and help with relief after a tornado or something here in the US. One day. That's the goal. Eventually, we want to do that too. We're waiting. I'm hoping to be out in the plains next year. But if I do that, it will have to be after July, so that's why it's tricky. It might not. It might be another year after that, but sell your PC and boom, time to chase light work. Okay, but here's the catch: if I don't got a PC, then how am I supposed to stream anything? It goes to the people who help rebuild homes. So it should go directly to, yes, it should go directly to the people of Jamaica. And it's their official site. There was a scam site going around. There was a scam site going around, and I forgot where I got this one from, but it was somebody who's officiated with the government there in Jamaica. What they did was they quote tweeted a scam site collecting fake donations. So they were getting real money, but it wasn't going to go for Jamaica at all. And so one of the government officials there in Jamaica called out that link and gave a real link. Yeah, it says the donation will be provided to provide food, shelter, and medical aid to families affected by Hurricane Melissa. And then if you click it, it says it will go directly to people who are rebuilding lives and restoring hope. I can't believe people actually make scam links like that. Like, how low do you have to be in your life to make a donation link after a disaster and collect donations from people who are very generous and wanting to give money to those who are less fortunate and have been impacted by Melissa, but in reality, you're just keeping the money for yourself. I know for a fact that's illegal, right? Like, there is no shot that is not illegal. I can't believe there's actually people in this world that do that. Yeah, NHC update's been out for a while, bud. Hold on, don't give me the donation. I'll get taxed on it, and it'll be very much taxed. Don't donate to me. Here, I'll give you the link. That's the direct link that Lucky's gonna donate to. I think he's planning on doing a 100, but again, I'll tell you guys exactly which one. There's more links out there that will let you do, fewer donations. But that's the one that's going to go straight to them. I think 100 might be the lowest you can do. Oh, no, you can edit it. Yeah, you can edit it to 10. Okay. So just click on where it says make a donation, the red one on the left side. Click that. Click the JMD, change it to USD. Then click a 100. And then where it changes to 100, just below that, you could just get rid of a 0 if you like to do 10. Or, customize whatever amount you'd like to do. Uh, 3,500 is the most you can do. 3,500 is the max donation. Yeah, you got to be very careful where you donate to. It's crazy how those scams work. It really is. You wouldn't think of that, right? You wouldn't think of fake donation links that are going to go to somebody else's, not the people affected. Not the people affected. If I donate to a link that says it's going to go towards, the impacts that Melissa brought and go towards people's houses who have been destroyed and trying to help them rebuild, that's where I expect it to go to, not the person's pocket and they just pocket it and spend it on themselves. I also know Y'all Squad. Y'all Squad is really good with helping with relief too. That's Ryan Hall's um, non-profit organization. Of course, most of us here probably know who Ryan Hall is. And I know his Y'all Squad, they're really good with also relieving they're after like any natural disaster. Any natural disaster. Flooding, they've done flooding, hurricanes, tornadoes. I wouldn't be surprised if they're planning on eventually going to other countries like Jamaica and even outside of North America to do additional donations elsewhere for families impacted. I mean, they've probably raised over 1 million, honestly, which is awesome. And that's a non-profit organization, so that means I believe it doesn't get taxed nearly as much. And since he's already set that all up, it's easier for them to have relief, to help with relief. Yeah, but just be careful where you're donating your money to. Just be very careful. Try your best to do a bunch of research on it. Even if you think it's legit, do even more research on it. Keep researching it until you can find that it is. Where did my stuff go? Until you can find out multiple different sources that say it is official. My clock just said, nope, I'm dipping. We are still live, right? Oh boy. Getting flashbacks to what happened last time this happened. Hold on, I'm going to switch over. I didn't fix this scene, so I'm just going to do that. No, nothing. Come on, dude. RIP. No, we are not live. Dang. Still looks like this is intensifying to me, but they did just recently drop down that intensity to Cat 1. Oh, here it comes. It's coming back. There they are. There they are. They pop back on. Sweet. I gotta pull up an incognito tab here. There. Yeah, we'll have to see what wraps around on this east side here. See if any other convection can wrap around there. I'm not too confident in that. Yeah, last time that stuff went off, we started lagging and my computer was starting to crash. So that's why I said, am I still live? Yeah. Yeah, Jamaica's not doing well. Like I said, we'll have to wait till another week before we get the full extent of everything. I wouldn't call this thing done until it's well past Bermuda. So, I mean, probably Friday night, it's going to be well away from any impacts for anybody. And then the NHC will stop advisories. I'm thinking still probably right around Sunday. But yeah, there's a lot of misinformation going around with this system. So again, just be careful with the videos and photos that you're looking at. Make sure that they are from either a reputable source, or try to even look yourself and see if you could spot anything that looks fishy that may be a sign of it being AI. Because I've seen already, like I said, one viral photo that was AI, but I've caught one that even more are. We've had even more AI photos that claim they're from Jamaica, but are clearly not. Caleb, I haven't been trick or treating in 5 years. Maybe even longer. Either 2019 or 2020 was my last trick or treat. So I haven't gone ever since I was about 15. What we do is we just wait till a day or two after Halloween. All the candy that is about to expire goes on sale, and then we go on a spending spree. And that's our Halloween. Get the discounted stuff, and you get a lot more candy than if you were to just go trick or treating. And you get it for very cheap, too. Because they got to get rid of it all, right? I mean, after Halloween, nobody cares about the candy. Nobody cares about it because nobody's buying it in bulk anymore. Oh, yeah, also the looting that happens after, too. We had a lot of reports from looting in Jamaica, and I'm sure there was probably even looting in Cuba and probably even in Haiti, too. Looting is always an issue with hurricanes, especially the higher end ones that cause more damage. Because then there's a lot more stuff that's damaged, and then people could just go and raid things easily because nobody's there. And the problem is, most of them are likely never caught. But that's why there's typically a lot of police even more present during and after a hurricane too. Yeah, it's really a big issue, especially on like Twitter, because what happens on Twitter is if I go and share a photo and say, this is catastrophic damage in Jamaica from yesterday from Hurricane Melissa, and then I share that, even if I get called out, and as long as I'm verified, I'm going to make money off of it. Because if you're verified, and even if people call you out, they're still sharing it. It's obviously, it destroys your reputation. Your reputation is in the trash can after it, but it still gives them money because you share it. Either way, you're reposting it and saying, "Hey, don't fall for stuff like this. This is AI, and make sure you're being careful." You still have reshared that, and that's giving them engagement, and that's putting money in their pocket. Even though you're doing the right thing by calling them out, they don't care about their reputation. All they care about is cash. And that's what's happened a lot on Twitter. And unfortunately, it's I feel like it's going to become even a bigger issue. It yesterday was just a small example of how bad it is going to be when AI is extremely realistic. It's already getting really, really realistic, but next year I have a feeling it's going to be even worse in that sense. So just take your time. If you're one who has a big social media presence, make sure you verify photos before you repost them. Obviously, I quote tweeted one of those AI things yesterday to call them out. But again, unfortunately, that just puts more money in their pocket. But I at least wanted to do it to one post so that way people would know to keep an eye on it. Keep a very close eye on what you're looking at because a lot of it is probably going to end up being AI. But I have seen a lot of non-AI, a lot of non-AI damage photos and videos out from Jamaica, and those are absolutely gut-wrenching. One of the worst, again, was from out over here in Black River, right along High Street. High Street and Black River, right in this area. That's where it seemed like some of the worst damage was, which probably most of that was from storm surge, honestly. Definitely some from winds, but a lot of that was probably from the 20-foot storm surge they got out there. 15 to 20-foot storm surge. And then I actually haven't seen a lot about the White House area because they were in the eye wall for hours. I mean, if we go back here the best we can, this area was in the eye wall for hours, including that chaser, Josh. I forgot his last name, but I know he was in the eye wall for hours as well. We still haven't heard from him, but apparently it is typical for him to go offline for a couple of days whilst he's trying to get out of the area impacted. Which makes sense. Yeah, so this is as far back as we can go here. That's as far back as we can go. We're starting to lose the satellite imagery because obviously time progresses. But if we go out here, I gotta find that area. There's Black River, right? Right there's Black River. If we just pull this out, they get in the eye wall. Right about here is probably where the eye wall starts hitting Black River. That's 8 a.m. And then they are inside that eye wall all the way until it completely closes there and moves well north of them about 3. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. That's 7 hours. 7 hours inside of an eye wall. 7 hours inside of an eye wall. That's just an area where I haven't heard much about damage just yet. But again, that's might be because of what Caleb just said. It's probably impassable, and there's probably a lack of any power or cell reception or Wi-Fi in that area. So it probably is going to be a couple more days before we hear from them, and might be a couple weeks before we actually get an idea of the full extent of damage in that area. But yeah, just to go over this for those who have tuned in and didn't hear the first 15 minutes when I was really diving on into the future of this storm. So it is back down to Category 1 intensity, thankfully. But unfortunately, it is expected to strengthen. And I don't know, that might have made landfall as we were live. Did the NHC note that at all? Did they say anything in their discussion about a landfall that has occurred? Melissa showed signs of weakening, but convection is recovering. Looking quite ragged as it has emerged off Cuba. Some strengthening is expected in the next 12 or so hours, and then substantial weakening after that. So yeah, we're going to see strengthening back up into about almost a mid-tier Cat 2, and then it will go from Cat 2 to low-end Cat 2 to mid-tier Cat 1 to high-tier tropical storm, mid-tier tropical storm, low-tier tropical storm, and then the NHC will stop advisories. I didn't see anything about them saying a landfall yet. Yeah, so it either just barely missed the Bahamas for landfall or barely hit the Bahamas. If we follow that track, it looks like a miss. Looks like a barely a miss, but this is going to go all the way up to the to Bermuda. Bermuda will see either sustained hurricane force wind speeds. It depends how far east Melissa is. If it's further east, it'll be sustained hurricane force wind speeds. If it's further west, frequent hurricane force wind gusts. And that will be tomorrow night into very early Friday morning. So very late tomorrow night into Friday morning. And it will be a pretty quick hurricane. I mean, probably only about 3 or so, maybe a little more hours of impacts there. because this is going to be moving at like 30 miles an hour by the time it gets up here to Bermuda. And then after that, it is going to go all the way back up into the far northern Atlantic, maybe some marginal impacts there across far southeastern Newfoundland up here in Atlantic Canada. But Bermuda is the last area at the moment under a hurricane warning already. So preparations should be rushed to completion in Bermuda, and you should have those preparations done tomorrow afternoon. And then tomorrow night, all the way through early Friday morning, the time frame is generally 10 p.m. tomorrow, all the way till about 5 a.m. Friday morning. That's the main time frame for those hurricane force wind gusts or sustained wind speeds. Maybe even a little bit before that. It looks like it will probably be out of there about 3 a.m. Eastern. So maybe closer to from about 10 p.m. to about 3 a.m. Generally right in there, about a 5-hour time frame for those impacts. Which, considering Jamaica's time frame was literally almost like 72 hours worth of impacts, 5 hours for Bermuda shouldn't be too rough, but still going to see some damage out there from those hurricane force wind gusts. But we are getting close to wrapping it up, so if you guys have any more questions about the weather, go ahead and put them in the comments. I'll try to answer them. Just wanted to get on here for 2 quick hours just to discuss a couple of things and cover a little bit of Melissa as it's passing over the Bahamas. And outside of that, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button with a notification bell set to all so you know when I go live or upload a video. Again, there is a possibility of a video Friday or Saturday, but this weekend is the last weekend of races for NASCAR, so that's what I'll be mainly doing. Just enjoying time with my family after a very long amount of coverage over the last couple of days. And then we'll get back into the swing of things, probably in the form of mainly winter weather and cold temperatures. Ooh, so interesting. So interesting. But hey, that's good. I'd much rather be cold temperatures. That's a lot less deadly than a well into Category 5 range hurricane. So it may be boring to track for me, but the good news is it's less impactful. But we will have coverage for winter storms too. Hi, Legacy. We're right at the end of the stream. Hey, at least you caught us. Right at the end of stream. I'm going to head to the ending screen in 4 minutes, so. Go ahead, tell me something. What happened today? I know I'm late. Hey, you're good. I know you have school. It's pouring here. Well, that's something that's happened. Oh, yeah. You're getting the part of the low pressure that's going to hit me tomorrow. That's going to come over here into Southern Virginia and maybe even brief spin-up tornado risk near and definitely in Eastern Virginia, but could be near me too. Yeah, that low pressure's back out in Southwest Tennessee, Southern Mississippi, so you're getting those heavy showers right now. The heaviest is off in Kentucky. Yeah, this is where the heaviest is, up in here. Rain will do that to you. Rain will do that to you. When is it supposed to rain tomorrow for me? Gracious day. It starts literally like right almost now. Yep, it's coming. Get away. No rain. I guess I should go outside right after this stream. Because it looks like it's going to rain from about 6 p.m. here in about 30 minutes all the way until literally Thursday till about 10 a.m. That's not too bad. So it's mainly an overnight event. Problem is it's cold. I had to throw on my my jacket the other day. It was mid-40s outside. And, that's getting a little bit cold for me up here. Thank you, Chrissy. I appreciate the kind words. And, yeah, I mean, that's how you like it. Just a small, close circle of good, reputable information. I try my best to be reputable. Every now and then I do slip up, but that happens because we're all human. But that's how you stay informed. Now, make sure you do have others too. You know, you don't want just one source. You said you have a few reputable sources. 3, me and 2 others. That's good. You don't want to have too many because then you're going to get a huge disagreement. But you want to have like 3, right about 3, maybe a little more sources that you trust, and then compare them, and then you get the average out of those 3. That's a good way to stay informed right there. The best sources are always your local meteorologist. And then also, you know, maybe some people on YouTube, but you got to make sure that they are reputable. Which the only way to know that is to just watch them for a while. How many have passed away so far? 54 confirmed. 40 in Haiti, and then others scattered from, you know, Jamaica, Cuba, and a few other areas that we've lost people because of this storm. Unfortunately, that total is going to go much higher. But all right, that's it for this stream. I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. I know it was a little bit quicker, but that's how I wanted it to be, so that way it would just be a fully informative live stream real quick. If you do want to know the latest on Melissa, you could just go to the National Hurricane Center, or if you're wondering about the local weather in your area, go to your local National Weather Service or local meteorologist station. They are the best information that you can get. And yeah, appreciate all you guys for being here. Appreciate all the mods for mod and chat. Legacy, I would go longer, but I've got stuff to do. Something that I want to see is on right now. It came on 26 minutes ago, so I'm missing a little bit of it, but that's okay. So appreciate all you guys for tuning in, and I don't know when I will be live next. It will either be, I don't know when my next live stream will be. I may have a video Friday or Saturday, but I don't know. I'll just let y'all know in the community post what my plan is, but I'm going to go spend some much needed time with my family, especially this weekend. And hopefully the road to recovery for Jamaica is decently quick. So stay safe out there. Watch severe weather in the tropics. Again, thank you, mods, for mod chat. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And I will catch y'all in the next live stream or video that I do, whichever one it is. Stay safe and watch severe weather in the tropics. Goodbye. Stay safe for your weather in the tropics, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you, mods from On Chat. Goodbye.